Welcome to the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. Here, we believe leadership isn't just about titles. It's about how you show up in every aspect of life. Whether you're leading a business, building a legacy as an entrepreneur, guiding your family, or striving to lead yourself first, this podcast is for you. Join us as we dive into real conversations about growth, decision-making, and the courage it takes to lead with purpose. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to become the limitless leader you are meant to be. This is Your Limitless Leadership Podcast. Let's lead without limits. Welcome to Your Limitless Leadership Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest in my heart, for sure. She is one of the where do I even start here? One of the best people I have ever met in my life. I'll just start there. She is just her personality, her energy. She is, if you've ever met those people that you just want to be around, that just kind of, they're attractors. They're the people that they kind of I don't want to say consume you, but they do, because their energy just is so intoxicating that and in a really good way is what I mean. Her name's Amy LaVallie. I got to meet her through my wife, Jenny, and one of her, if not her best friend, I guess, put it that way, that they've known each other for years. And like I said, she has quickly become one of my favorite people on the planet. So I love that she agreed to come on here, because she is in the branding world and just in the kind of get out of my way and watch what I do type world. She is that type of person. So I'm going to give her a brief introduction, but I would love to know about you. So thank you first for being on here. I truly appreciate it, Amy. I really do.
Brent, that's so nice. Seriously, speechless. That's so kind. How do I even follow that? Thanks.
Just be you. It's that easy. That's all you got to do. I love it. So she is now at Brand Builders. What she does is she works with like the top, you look at it, she's built over 5,000 personal brand, of number 5,000 personal brand strategy firm. But what she really does, she helps people in business, 6, 7, 8-figure people build who they are. Entrepreneurs, speakers, authors. Like she is, even like the top 5% podcast, which I love that she came on here to even help us and humble in that way as well. But just the coaching and the mentorship and the advising around all of these things, like that's who she is. I'll let her speak more to that, because obviously I'm not going to do that due diligence as much as I want to. She now lives in Florida. I'm going to give you a little background. I know one of the things that I truly am impressed by, and just like Jenny as well, is they sold books in college and right after college. And what I mean by that is they worked 8 hours a week and knocked on doors. That's not normal. And they act like it's just something everybody does. It's just a normal thing. But the work ethic and the drive and the things it takes. She is a Seminole. So she went to Florida State. And this caught me too. She sold air for iHeartRadio. So if you can sell books and you can sell air, you're doing something right. Let's call it what it is. And then moving on to, and I know she does this. I know she's done on the side. I know she's owned her own firm, all these things where she does branding, marketing, brand partnerships, which the intelligence it takes to do that as well is to me second to none, because I feel like everybody in business needs that, but not everybody does it. And that's part of what we'll talk about today. So thank you. But I would love just to know about you. So the evolution of Amy, how you got to where you are and just how you've built this. And yeah, just take us back and tell us about you, I guess. Put it that way.
Well, thank you, Brent. Like, seriously, such a nice introduction. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. I feel so flattered. So I'll take it. But thank you for having me today. Seriously, you and Jenny are some of my best friends on the planet. So this is such a treat to come on here and kind of talk business, kind of talk past. So where should we begin? I sold books. I think probably some of your listeners know what that means. But for those of you that are like, what is that? So I met your wife, Jenny, she was just graduating college. I was a few years out of college, but what it means is we were chosen for this internship where we went somewhere outside of our home state, And we lived with strangers. We worked with other people from our universities, and 6 days a week, 80 hours a week, we were knocking on doors, inviting ourselves politely into people's homes and selling them things.
It was educational books,
It was
correct?
educational books, yes.
Okay.
And so they were basically like a homework study guide, think like encyclopedias for homework. Like the internet was around, but this was like 2006, 2007. So the iPhone was just becoming a thing. So it just wasn't, we didn't have as much access to answers as we do now. So it made a lot of sense, especially for people in smaller towns. So I did that for, 7 years. And yes,
The stories that you guys have from doing that.
stories.
I won't put you on the spot right now, but if you think of one, I would love to know one of the best stories that you have. And I got to do this diligence because it was what 7:59 in the morning until 9:30 at night, Monday through Saturday.
6:50. No, was it? No, we would wake up at 5:59, and we
Okay.
were knocking on our first door before 8 a.m. That was the deal. And we would work until 9:30, 10, sometimes 11 at night, which is crazy because if someone's knocking on my door at 11 o'clock now, like, get out of here. But it worked.
When you think about it now, it's a whole different, and it's still going on too.
It's still going on, yeah.
And absolutely, because it's part of Southwestern. It's Southwestern Advantage, correct? Is what it was.
I believe so, yeah. I believe
So
so.
even to go back a little bit, that's how Jenny and I met at Southwestern Consulting, which is another company under the umbrella, which just the tools, tips, techniques, mindset, all the stuff that they teach is, to me, second to none. It
Agreed.
changes your life a little bit. It really does.
Agreed. I mean, the summer before I started doing that, I was working at a restaurant as a hostess, not necessarily learning like life skills or anything. I mean, people skills, sure, but I mean, it was such a switch from that. But where I really learned the most was in the years following, where I built teams and trained teams
Okay.
and really led organizations to become top campus, top individual teams, top individuals. And so that's where I feel like a lot of the things that I use now come from those follow-up years, like year 2 to year 7, where I was really being able to like pour into more people.
How did you do that? Like it sounds like you just went and built an organization, you built a team, you did all this, but you went from a restaurant to knocking on doors to now you're in, let's call it what it is. You're recruiting, you're in leadership, you're doing all. How's that mentality? Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, I think that, and you probably can relate to this too, as a great salesperson and a great leader, it's a completely different skill set
Yeah.
to be a salesperson than it is to be a great leader. And it doesn't always translate right away. Like just because you can sell a lot does not mean that you're automatically going to lead well. And I think the first year that I was in leadership, I mean, I was like 19 years old. So it was, oh, okay, it's not really about me. I still have my goals to hit, I still have my targets, but my primary focus, I brought out 5 people my first year. And we ended up having the number 1 team I think at Florida State and in the company. Yeah, it was the number 1 team in the whole company. And with that, it was like my focus had to be on those 5 people outside of myself. And so 8 a.m. to 9:30, I was focused on me and my sales, but 9:30 to midnight, 1 a.m. And then of course on Sundays, it was all about my team.
So I have to go back to something you just said. And I know obviously this might be a big question, so a little bit to process here, but going from a great salesperson to a leader and the skill set differences, because there's how many people get pushed into that or just go right into that. And we don't know what we're doing or how we do it or what have you. One, what do you see are probably the biggest differences there? Maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 at best. And then 2, how was that transition for you? Was it hard? Was it just something that was kind of naturally came? And then how did you develop yourself at the same time to help the other things, I guess, put it that way?
Great question. So I think the first realization I had, and what I look back on now over the years, is that everyone is motivated so differently.
Mm.
And so what works for one person is not going to work for the next necessarily. And if I'm motivated by competition or by winning or by some sort of like incentive that I'm running after, somebody next to me might be like, I just want to do a good job. I don't need the recognition. I don't need the hoopla. I don't need all the stuff. And so understanding, how is this person motivated? What is going to get them to get out of bed and get excited for the day? And then this person might be completely different. Maybe they're doing it for a person or for something internal that they don't really speak to or don't really need credit for, but they're still going to go out there and do their very best.
How did you learn that? Like, did that just come naturally, or how did you learn that?
How did I learn? I mean, I had great people that I looked up to. What was so cool about Southwestern and books is that there was somebody who had just finished the year before, just finished the year before. So there were
Okay.
people that were our peers that had a year more experience or 2 years more experience. So I could say, what are they doing? And I would just study the people around me that were killing it and that were doing a great job. I'm like, hey, you've got a great team. I'm going to just do what you do. Hey, you're selling a lot. I'm just going to do what you do. And I would just kind of look at the person to my left or to my right who was doing a great job and try to emulate what they were doing.
Okay, you just said something that I have to. What you just told me, I guess, listening to that is I didn't know everything.
No, absolutely. There was way more that I didn't know than
Yeah, where so many of us kind of push things away, and it stunts our development and our growth and what have you, because now we're the leader and we're expected to know it all and all these different things. And what you just said is I took off everybody around me instead of just, I got it. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Huh. Were you, again, I got to ask this because that's not normal, Aim. Like that isn't something that is just instilled in you from birth. I'm a believer leadership is learned over time.
Yeah.
How did you take that? Okay, so let's transition from books because now you're learning the leadership, you're learning the work ethic. Where did we go next? What happened after that?
Yes. So, but I'll actually tell you a funny story about books that involves your wife. That's a great lead in, right? What are you going to tell me? So I was at about my 5th year and I had sold a lot. I built some great teams. I ran some great organizations and I was like, I think I'm done here. 5 years. I was already out of college a couple years. And I was like, I want to try something new. I want to do something different. And I was like ready to turn in my resignation, if you will. And Jenny comes to me. We were at I don't know, it was like a leadership weekend in Jacksonville Beach. She's like, hey, if you stay and be my roommate and recruit full time with me, I'll recruit full time as long as you want. I'm like, huh? Like exactly what you want to hear as a leader when Jenny had just finished her first summer. She was a top producer, top seller, no surprise there. And she's like, I'll come and like do the deal with you. And I'm like, crap, now I have to come back. And it was the best thing that ever happened because I gained a best friend out of it, gained humans out of it. And she went on to do amazing things, of course. But it was in that 5th year where it was like, all right, I'm done. Nope, I'm not done.
I just won't let you get out of it, will it? It's like you're stuck in it because
You're stuck in it. Yeah.
How'd you get into it? About like who recruited you, or how was that process of you finding out about this?
So I was in I went to Florida State. I was a communications advertising major. And one of my friends in class, her name's Heather, and we're still friends to this day. She was telling me, we sat next to each other in class, and one day we got to talking, and she's like, hey, I did this crazy internship last summer. I was in Kentucky. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. She's like, I made like $17,000. And when you're like a freshman, sophomore in college, I'm like, that's more than I'm making at a restaurant this summer. And I was like, you made $17,000. You're a legit, kind, like respectable human being. I'm listening. What do you got? And so it was about 2 weeks before they left for the summer. I went, I did the interview process. I mean, I'm interviewing, but really I'm just like getting talked into doing this thing. I didn't have enough time to talk myself out of it. And so 2 weeks later, I was on this caravan to Nashville to go learn all the things about selling door to door. So thanks, Heather.
I don't know, anybody out there that has kids or listen to this when you're younger, it is one of I have yet to meet. I don't think I've met somebody that has been from Southwestern that is not a driven, smart, just motivated, disciplined, because you don't get to go back to where you live. You go to Kentucky. If I'm from Minnesota, I go to Kentucky and I sell in the
sticks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to work my schedule. So that the principles it teaches as well that are lifelong. Okay, so how has that helped you over the course of your career? Tell me about that.
Totally. So my next step after that, because I mean, 7 years, I was like, all right, I want to do something different. I got so much incredible experience. The relationships, I mean, my best friends sold books and those things just stick with you forever. So I'm so grateful. But I wanted to do something different. I went to school for advertising. I wanted to be more in that marketing, advertising space. And so I got a role as an account manager at Clear Channel, which is now it's been called iHeartMedia for a while. But
Okay.
at the time it was called Clear Channel. And I was like, okay, what am I going to be doing? And they're like, well, you basically sell ads. Sometimes you'll do the creative as well. So you'll come up with, what do the commercials say? How do you get people to buy the thing? Sometimes it's a Ford F-150. Sometimes it's a swing set for a backyard. Sometimes it is a spa service somewhere. I mean, you listen to the radio, ads are all over the place. And so I got hired actually originally in Tampa. Jenny and I were roommates in Tampa, and I got the job in Tampa, but I was like, you know what? I want to live somewhere else. I want to go do something different. I want to just try something new. And I'd always loved going to Austin, Texas. We used to do semi-annual meetings there. I had a lot of friends there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to move to Texas. And so I declined the job in Tampa at the radio station. And I moved to Texas without a job. I had some savings from books and recruiting and all of that. And I was like, you know what? We're going to figure it out. And so,
Really?
yes. So declined the position. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give myself about a 6-month runway to find what I want to do next. It's probably going to be radio, but I want to explore what else Austin has to offer. And so once I got into this like interviewing state where I'm like, all right, I really want to find what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of years, I printed out a stack of resumes and I went door to door to different advertising agencies, media agencies. iHeartMedia actually was one of them in Austin. I was like, hey, yeah.
That is fantastic. Like, that's, again, not normal that you would go door to door. Huh. Okay, keep going. How did
I remember I showed up and some people, they would look at me like I was crazy, but I was used to that. I'm like, it's fine. I'm supposed to be here. We're either going to work together or we're not, but here's my resume. You could just get it to the right place. I'd love to interview. I actually got the job already when I did this at iHeart. I was like, I got the job already in Tampa, which is a better market. So if you guys want to have a conversation, I'd love to set up an interview. See ya. Well, I got the interview, I got the job, and that's how I got my job in radio.
Huh. And again, of course you did, because that's the thing that you're talking about that's just normal to you. 99% of the population isn't doing that. They're not going door to door to apply or give their resume to people. They're just not.
Yeah.
So you just answered the question, how did it serve you? It gave you the next job. I didn't realize in radio that you were sales and, well, obviously sales and marketing, then you did a lot of the on air as well. Is that where, I mean, obviously you went for communications, but is that kind of where the marketing thing started, or what was that always something that you wanted to do?
So what I loved about that role was that it was everything. It was a sales role, essentially.
Yep.
It was a sales role selling advertising.
For sure.
And so where the marketing really started to come in was when I would build campaigns out for new clients. And so we'd have a prospect. I remember my biggest client ever was a tech university. I think they were based in like San Antonio or somewhere similar. And to get them to say yes, I think it was about like a $250,000 proposal. I was throwing in all of these perks. So I'm like, here's tickets to the Spurs game, and here's tickets to this concert, and you can come to this event that we're having, and all of these things. And so I was like, how can I sweeten the pot? How can I make this a total no-brainer for you to say yes to, $250,000 in advertising that may or may not get you the students enrolled that you want? And so I really fell in love with, okay, how can it be a win-win for the station? Like we have, a limited amount of funds or perks or things that we can give, but also that's going to be a no-brainer for the person that's making the decision. And so I saw how it worked on both sides, like what's good for the station, what's good for the client, and what's just really fun. And so I got to put together a lot of different campaigns. And funny enough, I did a lot of the voiceover for that client just because I'm like, oh, you want a female voice? I've got you. No problem. I'll throw that in.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's so intriguing to me that it's like, and it sounds like they gave you free reign to do things like that too.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. From there, I mean, obviously you touched in tech sales is what it sounds like. So your career is, what I'm hearing from you over time, you had the foundation set, but you're building upon it with every place that you go.
Exactly. You couldn't have said that better. Yeah.
So a little bit about the tech sales. What was that, and how long was that stop, I guess? Put it that
Yeah. So I'll say this about the tech sales. Like, I'm so grateful for that because at the time I needed a change. I loved what I did at radio, but I wanted a different environment. And so the tech sales, it taught me how to be a pro. We suited up every single day. It was a little bit more rigid than
way.
I prefer, but we looked nice. We were total professionals. We went in, we did good work. The sales cycle was really, really long. And so radio, my sales cycle was maybe 30, 60 days. These sales cycles in tech were like 8, 9 months.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, and it was a ton of implementation too. So once, I mean, you're convincing somebody, it was a payroll tech company. And so you're convincing somebody to switch from a system that's been there for years. And then you're training entire organizations, training entire teams on how to use. I'm not a very technical person. And so that part, it really drained me, honestly. And I was like, I don't love this. Even though the money was good, it just wasn't inspiring. There was one day that I was sitting in our 7 a.m. all hands meeting, 7 a.m. And I remember sitting there and there were fluorescent lights. We were eating our kolaches because that's what you did at breakfast meetings. Kolaches are kind of like a donut with like a hot dog in it. I don't know, it's a Texas thing. So we're eating those. There's fluorescent lights, and we're talking like everybody's writing down like their sales goals and where they're at and this and that. And I'm like, there is no part. I had just read this. Let me back up a little bit. I had just read Strengths Finders, that little
Okay.
book that talks to you about like what are the things, where do you thrive, where are you like actually in your sweet spot, your zone of genius. And I was like, I'm not using any of my top 5. I
Wow.
am doing a job that looks good on paper, that is respectable, but I'm not doing the thing that lights me up. I got to get out of
Mhm.
here. And so in that moment, I was like, this is the last cubicle I'm ever going to sit in. This is the last time I'm going to take a role that, seemingly is good, but it's not good for me. And so I'm appreciative of that because it taught me what I don't want. To no fault of theirs, it just wasn't a good fit. And then from there, I'm like, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something on my terms.
Thank you. I hope all of you heard that it was when something dawns on you like that, which I'm guessing it does to all of us at some point. And some people like you go, I'm going to do something with it. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's not the path. I know it's not what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm going to find out what's right for me. And then there's people over here that live in the world. Well, I have a job. I'm good. I'm content. And I would encourage, like what Amy just said, if you get nothing else out of this so far, I encourage you to follow what you want to do instead of what you feel the norm is that you're supposed to do. That's pretty cool. Like that's again, you're just not in a bad way. You're different. You're set apart than other people
I
because
accept that.
yeah, you chase what you want to and go for what you want to be and what you want to do instead of what is supposed to happen in life, I guess, put it that way, which is why you're successful. It's why you're where you are, you know? Huh. How did, before we get into the branding, I just want to, and again, I'll give you time to process this one, but along each job that you've had, what is one thing that you have learned from each one, whether it's books, whether it's radio, whether it's what you just said, right, about tech, payroll, what have you? What is something that stands out to you? Maybe there's a common denominator for all three, so you don't have to have one in each, but is there something that stands out to you that you've taken away from each
Yes.
one? If you're listening to this and you're thinking, that's me, you're not alone. Let's call it what it is. You've got the drive, you've got the experience, like you have it. You have it. You know what you're doing. But something still feels off at times, or things could be better. We know that they can be. You know there's more. What we do is we help committed leaders go from guessing and grinding to really leading with clarity and structure and confidence. We're offering complimentary DNA strategy calls. We're going to evaluate how you're leading, where performance might be breaking down. It happens. And what really needs to tighten up within your business, within your leadership, within those people around you. Then we're going to take this next step. And what we're going to do is build accountability, the skills and the systems to create that consistent or those consistent results around it. If you're open to digging in a little bit, The link is below in the show notes. Just book your DNAcall.com and we will find time for you and we will dig in with you. All right, let's get back to it.
Before I sold books, and why I look back through all the crazy memories and fun memories, is it taught me that I'm capable of so much more than I ever thought.
Wow.
I mean, I was working as a hostess at a restaurant, and not like I was going to do that forever or anything like that, but my scope on what was possible was a lot smaller. And so books just taught me how to mindset is everything. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. And as cheesy as that can sound, it's like, no, write down your goals, crystallize your goals, focus on them, tell people about them, and go after them. Nothing's too crazy. And I got to see examples of people living that out every single year. And so books was just like, okay, cool. Like the limit does not exist. Like it just keeps on growing with your belief. And so I learned that a ton in that season.
Wow. It's like the books were just a thing, but it was the everything else that came with it that reshaped who you were as a person is what really happened along there. But you got to allow it in too at the same time. It doesn't just happen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would say that was books. Radio, I learned corporate politics.
Okay, that works.
I was like, oh, it's not just about, like in books, it was pretty much like, all right, you go out there, you crush it, you do a good job, and you get respect. Yeah. And in radio, it was like, oh, there's a little politics game that's going in the background of the work that we're doing. This is interesting. Okay, got it. And so it taught me that, I need to do good work, but also just be aware of, there's politics.
Game at the same time. Yep. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to fast forward here because I want to get into the branding part because I feel like that is your wheelhouse. That is your superpower, that marketing, the branding, becoming who you are as a person. Obviously, you've been so successful at it. But like in my eyes, before we did the program or have been in the program, I thought branding was just like we've talked about. It was just what you put on your website or the pretty colors that you have. So how did you get into that of all things? And then just kind of tell me about it or tell us about it, I guess, if you will. What is branding?
Ooh, okay.
I know.
I'm going to give you a multi-part answer to this question. First, I'll answer that question first, though. But branding, a lot of times people do. They think it's like, oh, it's branding. It's how I show up on a website. And while that is a piece of branding, a brand is not what you do. It's not your social media. It's not your revenue streams. It's not how many revenue streams you have. It's who you are. It's what people think of when they think of you. Another word for a brand is your reputation. Wow. Who are you known by? What are you known for? And how can people recommend you to their friends? Like, who are you the go-to person for, right? Like, if I'm struggling with this, who should I call? When you have a strong brand, that's so obvious. When you don't have a strong brand, it's like, oh, they do a little bit of this, they do a little bit of that. They might be able to help with that, but I'm not sure if they're doing that anymore. And it becomes this hodgepodge confusion. And, confused prospects don't buy. So the clearer you can be about who you are, how you help, what you're all about, the easier you are to refer. The easier you are to, be recommended for things and be invited into things. And so I learned this by doing it wrong. So let me just keep the string going. So after tech sales, I spent a little bit of time doing some odd jobs. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to create my own marketing agency. I learned a lot from these places. I want to build something on my own that helps small business owners market their brands. And so at that point, I moved to Miami, Florida. It's been about a decade here now. And I saw all of these small mom and pop businesses that I'm like, wow, this is a really cool business, but not enough people know about you. And if you know anything about Miami, Florida, rent is expensive. Yeah. And so if you can't pay the rent on a small business, they go out of business very easily. So I was like, I want to be part of the solution here. I want to help them. And so I started offering social media services, email marketing services, paid advertising services. I mean, and it got to the point where they're like, hey, can you help me with this? Sure, I'll learn how to build a website. Hey, can you help me with this? Sure, I'll learn how to do SEO. Oh, can you help me with this photo shoot? Sure, no problem. I've got you. And so I started just saying yes to everything.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll figure it out. I'll find a way. I'll call in a favor. I'll call a friend. I'll read a book. I'll take a course, whatever. I'll learn it. And so a couple of years went by and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm offering everything to everyone. And while it's fun and I'm learning a lot, I was not clear on what my brand was all about. And it got really exhausting. So going back to what is a brand needs to be crystal clear. You need to know who you serve. You need to know what problem you solve. You need to know what is your action that you want somebody to take as a result of interacting with your brand. And while I had some idea, it wasn't clear enough to keep it going and become scalable. And so what I teach a lot of the people I work with now is how to do that in a way that cuts the frustration time that I had in half, if not in fourth, so that they can be living out their dream and do what they want to be doing most.
Why do you think that is so? Because what you just said, you don't know what you don't know.
True.
So you're trying to say yes while it served you to learn all of these things. It wasn't necessarily, it was serving you to learn those things, but it wasn't serving you on the, how do I build the business, the brand, go make money for myself to help them at the same time. Mm-hmm. Why do people push back on that? Would you say that? You know what I mean? What I'm asking here? Because that's, it's almost like, don't tell me that I have to niche something. I want to be all things to all people because then I can be all things to all people.
I think there's a lot of things involved in it. One, it's if you're stubborn, I'm a little stubborn.
For sure.
You can't tell me no, I'm going to figure it out. And in the past, figuring it out has paid. It's been really rewarding. And so there's a part of me, my stubborn side, that's like, I'll figure it out. It's all good. What a story it's going to be once I figure it out and make revenue off of it and help somebody because of it. At the same time, if you're constantly doing that, you never allow yourself to gain mastery in an area. You're always a beginner. And while that can be good in short spurts, it doesn't build a scalable business over time.
So you're kind of the jack of all trades that's doing all things for all people. And it just doesn't, that's such a, I don't know the word for it, maybe like a dichotomy that they fight each other where the person over here thinks, but if I do all of these things, they're going to come to me for all of these things. And if I just do one thing, that's going to be really hard. Mm-hmm. Why is it so? And obviously this goes back to branding. This goes back to the thing. Why is it so important to find who you are, your niche, and your brand? And how does that serve you going? How do you help? How do you teach them do that? I guess.
A couple things.
Yeah.
I truly believe in all the work that I've done so far, and I'm still learning every single day, is that when we are truly happy in our business and what we're doing for work, it's often some version of what we wanted to be when we were a kid.
Tell me more.
So, funny enough, when I was younger, I wanted to be an artist. That was my jam. Like I'm pretty good at like painting, drawing, all that. I don't do it nearly enough, but it was my jam. And I kind of translate that to now. And now I'm like this architect of brands. I help people take like, what is their dream? What do they want to create? How do they bring it to life on their terms? I think we need to love what we do if it's going to be sustainable. Like we can't just like clock in, clock out anymore. That's not the world we're living in. And so when you build a brand, you're like, who do I want to work with? What do I want to offer? When I teach my clients, I'm like, never build an offer that you don't love because you're not going to sell it. If you're not convicted in your product, you're not going to push it. You're not going to make that extra sales call. You're not going to follow up on those objections the same way that you would if you're obsessed with what your offer is. And so I want people to create businesses that they love and offers that they love and chase their dream. And I think that you can have an ROI on your dream when you're living like in alignment with who you are. And often that's influenced by who you were when you were little too.
That is a really good point. It's that emotional attachment or that conviction that it's almost like, obviously you're selling or what have you, and that's not a bad thing, but we're selling because we care. We know that we're going to help people. We just know.
Yeah.
And if they say no, it's almost like we get this, what? Well, like, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of, okay. It's that kind of thing that, wow, I did not think of it that way, where it's a very specific thing to help people, but it has to be close to your heart too
Has
at
to
the
be.
same time. Well, okay. And maybe this is off track, and because we hear so much do what you love and you never work a day in your life and all this stuff, right? But how did you find that? Like, you knew you loved art when you were a kid, but how did you find that along the path? And I gotta think, and correct me if I'm wrong, this too, and this can be a yes or no, but there's probably days that it's not all sunshine and rainbows and this is the greatest thing ever, and you kind of struggle through. So do you reel on that too? But how did you find it? How'd you find it?
Yeah. Like with personal branding and art,
Yeah.
connecting the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, how did I find it? It feels like the business manifestation of being a creator, being an artist. You're literally like, who do I want to
Okay.
work with? Okay, let me draw that up. What do I want to offer them? What would be fun? Let me create that. Let me think, let me brainstorm on that. Okay, let's architect this a little bit. How can we bring this to life? Okay. What would it look like to make money doing this? Does the market, would they be down for it? And so I don't know. It's not like a direct correlation, but I think that just by asking the questions and allowing yourself to sit with that and being like, huh, what's true? What do I actually want here? What would be fun? What would light me up? What would bring more joy, more peace, more freedom, like all of those good words into the world? Okay, I'm going to create that. And I think that's artistry right there. And so being known for the thing that you do better than anyone else, at Brand Builders Group, we call that your uniqueness, the unique lens
Okay.
at which you take on the world. It's not like I'm only talking about one topic. I'm using a specific lens to approach conversations, to approach conflict, to approach problem solving. And I'm known for that lens at which I do things, the same way that you're known for the lens at which you do things. I'm going to go work with Brent, more so than the next person because of the way that you do things. And so I think that there's an artistry in that, to being able to call like your uniqueness by name. For me, it's empowerment. Big surprise. If somebody works with me, they're going to be empowered. If they say, hey, I want to create this thing, I'm like, okay, buckle up. Let's go. We're going to do it.
Do
We're
you
going to
find
create.
that hard for people to find out? Because that's all the things that you just said.
Mhm.
Is that hard for people to find when they come to you?
Find like what they want to do or what they want to be known for.
Well, what they want to do, they're probably in the area, right, of what they want to do. So they're in the ballpark. But what they want to be known for is a drastically different thing. And I asked because we've been in the program.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest things for me was to figure that out. I felt like I was this dude that just got dropped, mental picture for you, from a helicopter into the middle of the ocean. And they gave me a log and said, well, go figure it out. And that's kind of how it feels at the beginning, because you want to do, and it was really hard to figure that out at first. And that's what I was told, is that's normal.
Yeah.
But where do you see people struggle with, I guess, and another big question on that do they hold things close to their chest? Do they just not know? Again, you don't know what you don't know. But
Yeah. I think going back to the stubborn part, I think that for those
yeah.
of us that are good at a number of things, or have a lot of interest, or have a lot of areas that you've served and helped people in the past, you don't want to release any of that. At the same time, if you don't release the good, you're never going to grasp the great. And so you've got to be willing to let go of the things that is like, okay, I am that, but I'm way more of this. And I'd much rather be known for this over here than this. It doesn't mean that I can't do that later, but I've got to break through like this proverbial wall of being unknown to known. And the only way that we do that is through focus. And so what I'm not saying with your brand is that you can never talk about multiple things or help multiple groups of people, but to go to market, it just needs to be really clear who you're for, what you solve for people. What is your like primary offer? Like, are you in the coaching business? Are you a speaker? Are you a podcaster? Like, what comes first? And then we'll work on the secondary stuff later once you've broken through the wall with those things.
Are those the biggest things, I guess, for lack of a better term, that you help people with right there?
Yeah, I mean, that's the initial. That's like that's like the entry fee right there, is to get
Okay.
clear. Because what happens when you're unclear with your brand shows up everywhere, whether you like it or not. Like anybody that's here that's like, I don't really have a brand. Yes, you do. You just haven't done it on purpose. And so having that brand clarity from the very beginning is going to inform your content creation. Like, who here maybe listening has ever, oh, I'm just going to post on social media. I'm just going to post on social. I'm just going to post over here. But it's all these mixed messages. People are like, okay, that's interesting, but what do I do now? What is this actually leading towards? And so having a clear brand informs clear content, informs a clear keynote if you're going to give a presentation, informs clear marketing on your website, and so on and so forth. And so it's the foundation for everything working well.
I just sit there and listen to you, and I think about how many businesses are floating
Mhm.
and how many business owners are floating and not really figuring out their niche, which is why they need you. Not someone like you, which is why they need you, because all the things that you just said, the way you do it and how you do it, and just because I got to think up front, your job, if you will, or what you love to do is to get that out of them
Mhm.
and help them with that. And then that foundation's built. And now you can continue to build upon that.
Mhm.
Is that where does it start? Like you kind of just touched on that.
Mhm.
What's the next evolution? So, basic terms, where does it start? And then what's the next evolution? Where do you take them next after you kind of figure it out?
Yep. So, from what we teach at Brand Builders Group, we have a signature framework that everybody goes through in some form or fashion. And it goes first branding, then marketing, then selling, then scaling. So, branding, marketing, selling, then scaling. And so often, because I did this myself, we start marketing first. We're like, I've got to just let the word out before we're clear what the word is. And so, brand first, then market, and you're going to be in good shape. Now, the selling is probably going to come in a little bit sooner. Scaling is always last.
Yeah.
And so your brand is where you're clarifying, what problem do you solve? Who is the unique person that you are powerfully positioned to serve in this world, both demographically and psychographically? Sometimes we focus so much on the demographics. Oh, they look like this. This is how I'd recognize them on the street. While that's helpful, what really is like why people buy are the psychographics. What are their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their limiting beliefs? What have they been through? What is their story? Because if I'm listening to someone and I can relate to their story, I'm going to tune in a lot more
For
because I'm
sure.
like, they get me. They've been there. They probably have a roadmap that I can follow. And so really honing in on like, how am I uniquely positioned to serve this person, and then go all in on it. And then from there, you build out your thought leadership. How do you teach what you know in a way that serves the person that I'm supposed to serve, in the stories that you tell, the points that you make, those mic drop moments that you say from stage, those, we call them pithy pillar points. It's like, ooh, that's good. You said that thing. It's like we help our clients craft those exact phrases to be known by, the frameworks that you teach from, and then the different exercises and things that you help people through so that they can cement them in.
I don't know if all of you've listened to that, but you just got a master's class in how to not, well, the overview of it. You still need the person to help you with it.
Mhm.
Right. And what I love about you in this is you've been there. You're not just telling people what to do. You've struggled with it
Sure.
and you've been through it and you've had to beat your head against the wall and you've had to check the ego and not so you get us on the other side of it of I understand
I
what you
get it.
just said. Yeah, so you can help people build it because you've been there yourself,
Mhm.
not just tell me, don't show me type of thing. It's a
Yeah.
whole ball game.
And yeah, Brent, I mean, like there's exceptions too. Like there's sometimes people that it's like, well, I've already got this website built, but I need to go back and do the brand. All good. But let's make some tweak. It just needs to be in alignment. It's like when you think about your website, so many people think of their website as just something that they need to throw up and have.
Yeah.
Not literally throw up, but put them
Yep.
on and have. And it's like, no, your website is an additional salesperson. And so when your messaging is clear, you're going to attract the right type of prospects into your journey and love on them like well before they become, clients of yours. But your website can do that. Your funnels can do that. And so we also teach different ways to write copy that connect to your ideal buyer instantly. And AI can help, of course, with these things, make it go faster, but you need to know what's good copy versus bad copy.
So websites, let's call it a thing, right? It's one of the things. And then you look at Instagram, LinkedIn, probably Facebook, right? All the socials that if you're doing something over here and it doesn't talk to if the right hand doesn't talk to the left hand, you're just kind of doing it. Sounds like is what you're saying, which is what a lot of people do with a website. How do you, and maybe you can't go real in depth on this, but how do you or why should you make that uniform across the board? What does that
Yes.
do?
Yes, yes, yes. So we have this thing that we teach. We call it our relationship engine. And it's in our preliminary marketing training called Revenue Engine. So we have cool names for all of our different courses and frameworks that we teach through. And most people build the wrong way. I was one of these people. I started putting out social media. I did the photo shoot. I started doing the social media, and I got a couple of clients from it, but all for different things. And so what we recommend, and that's kind of over here on like the left side, what we recommend is building from right to left of this proverbial relationship engine or revenue engine, which is know what the heck you want somebody to do at the end of their journey with you. I want them to buy this coaching package. I want them to sign up for my consulting package. You want to build the offer before you start driving a ton of people in some direction. And most people just start creating content.
Yep.
It's fine if you want to work the muscle. By all means, I will never tell anybody, hey, just stop posting, because I think every rep you get in posting, you just get better, you get more clear. However, if I were to build it from scratch, build the offer first, then build your first funnel to that offer, have a place or an HQ that you own, AKA your website or your blog, and then start driving free traffic first, then paid essentially, but free traffic first to that place that you own, which would be your website or your blog or a newsletter.
I love that you just broke that down to make it really simple, because it's overwhelming. It really is. If you don't know what you're doing, one, you think you're doing it right, and when somebody tells you you're not doing it right,
like, what do you mean?
that's where my mind went. It's like,
I did my best.
Doing something. I've got it. But it's the old subby thing that you just said, start with the end in mind. Just like you talked about goals and you talked about a vision, then you can work it backwards. It's not just jumping into the deep end and throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks, and which is what a lot of business owners do. It's easier that way.
And I'll add this in here too, is most people put too much pressure on individual pieces of social media content. Oh, I created this reel. Why didn't it turn into a lead, or why didn't it turn into a customer? Well, what were you driving towards? What journey did you want it to be a part of? If the offer is X, that piece of social media content just needs to educate, entertain, inspire somebody to keep their eyes on your pages. That's it.
Just look at your 26 seconds of watching it and keep coming back over, and basically is what it is. Huh. Thank you. Thank you. Like, this was, I just feel so many business owners and so many leaders, if you will, because even a leader, right? God, obviously it's your limitless leadership, but it's hand in hand, really is what it is. And if you don't, like you talked about at the beginning, lead people the way they want to be led, or run a business the way you should run it, or know what you're working towards, you're just kind of hovering, really is what it is. So, So question, how do people find you? Like, how do they look you up? How do they find you? Where is Amy at?
Yes. So I'm going to make it really simple. You can just go to my website. It's amylavallie.com, LAVALLIE.
Pretty easy.
amylavallie.com. All my freebies are on there. I also offer a free brand strategy call. So if anybody is, considering wanting to spend more time building their brand, being more clear on who they are, who they serve, happy to have a free 1-hour conversation and talk through it with you. So that's all on my website. You can get it all from there.
Love it. And I would encourage you to do that, because that's, and speaking from experience, what they've helped us with is we weren't even close a year and a half ago to where we are now. Wouldn't have been able to do it without people like Amy in our life too at the same time. So thank you so much for being on here. I truly appreciate it, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Thanks for joining us on the Your Limitless Leadership podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. We hope today's conversation inspired you to think differently about leadership, not just in your career, but in every part of your life. Remember, leadership starts with leading yourself first. It's about taking action, making bold decisions, and showing up with purpose. Now, it's time to take what you've heard today and put it into practice. Whether it's in your business, your community, your family, or your own personal growth, start leading without limits. You have the power to become the leader you're meant to be. Until next time, keep pushing your boundaries and leading with purpose.